Welcome to Life in Sirens, Behind and on the Scene, a podcast by first responders. We're your hosts, Sophie,
Jamie,
and Aubrey.
The content provided in this podcast is for informational and educational purposes only and should not be considered medical advice. The views and opinions expressed by the hosts and guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect the official policies or positions of any medical institutions, emergency medical services, or healthcare organizations. Patient privacy is a top priority, and all discussions involving real-world emergency situations are de-identified and altered to ensure confidentiality. Always consult with a qualified healthcare professional or your local EMS protocols before making any decisions regarding patient care or medical practices. Listener discretion is advised, as some topics may include discussions of real-world emergency situations.
Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Life in Sirens. It's been a while since we've hit a true culture topic, and I'm excited about this one because we've all experienced it, and if you haven't, you probably will sometime soon if you work in EMS, and that is hard partners, working with someone you just don't click with. Our jobs are, high stress, they're dynamic, and it's very easy to be at odds with someone in the scenarios we find ourselves in. So we're going to get into it, and we're going to talk about the psychology of it all and how sometimes people just don't click, and it's okay to put them with a new partner. So if you are an administrator listening to this episode, keep that in mind. They might not be a problematic crew. They just might not be a good marriage, and that's okay.
They just might not get along.
And then it's just the reality of it. We have
Right.
very strong personalities in this job.
Absolutely. You gotta have somebody that is like, most of us are type A, but a lot of us lean a little bit towards type B in different ways.
Yeah, type A variant.
Yes, and you gotta have a good combo of those two. If they're both hard driven type A humans, you're gonna have a problem.
Yeah.
They're
and
not gonna like it.
Two intense people, it's not gonna mesh. And that's okay. Obviously, we usually work in pairs, and a lot of the time, we are alone with that person, and I think that part doesn't get brought up a lot because we talk about, sometimes things get tense on scene or whatever, but being alone with somebody that you don't get along with, people will happily say things that are hurtful because it's just like any other relationship. It's behind closed doors, it's just the two of you, tension gets high, people get tired, cranky, hungry, all the things.
Yeah.
And sometimes we say things to each other that probably aren't so nice. We're more likely to, right?
If you get frustrated with each other on a scene or you have a clinical disagreement or whatever it is, you then get back in that truck after you leave the hospital and are still trapped with them for the rest of your shift.
Side by side.
To go get dinner together and then go back to your station together. And then if you're at a station which only has one crew, it's just y'all, you gotta agree what you're gonna watch on TV. It is just, you're married.
It's like a bad date that you didn't drive your own car to.
Doesn't end for 24 hours.
They have to take
for
you
24
home.
hours.
And some of these stations, sometimes we have stations, right? Some places don't have stations, and you are stuck in the ambulance with that person.
Yes.
Just posted up somewhere.
Yeah.
That just go post
a
over
whole
this
other
pond
beast
over here, and then you just have to sit there with the person that you can't stand.
Yeah, and the vibes are off, and that is not fun. And we talk about burnout so much in this job, but I will say this, and this is absolutely a hill I will die on, so come for me. I don't care. Your partner is everything.
Oh, 100%.
It is everything. If you have one that you do not mesh with, who is unkind to you, or makes your job harder, or makes both of your jobs harder, or makes your supervisor's job harder, there's no win there.
Oh, for sure.
Don't make people suffer just because the spot's open, right? If you have a crew that, maybe could use some time apart, let it happen. It's okay. You can mix up people, and I know that we don't want to ruffle feathers of other crews, but it's also okay to be like, yo, Joe, Christy over here, she is just having it out for her partner, and they've just been getting a lot of bad calls. Can y'all just swap for a shift?
Right, see how it goes.
It's okay.
Sometimes people just need a break from each other.
Just a shift.
And that's okay too. And Obs and I talk about all the time, we're little investigators.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to dig into what is happening and why it's happening. on the scene, I pay so much attention. I'm like, why is that chair there? What's over here? Did you see the way that person looked at that other person?
Did you see how much mail was coming out of their mailbox?
Yeah,
Yes.
it goes far beyond medicine for us. I want to know
yeah.
the social
Yeah.
dynamics. I need to know.
There's a TikTok of a dog that is literally like, I don't care, but I want to know.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not going to judge you, but like, I want to know.
I want to know.
That's
I
how
agree.
I feel.
Tis us.
And when we get done with a call, we sit in the truck and we chit chat about, did you see this? Did you see this? What do you think about this? And we do that. And that is such a fun part of like our partnership for me. And I didn't realize that there's a lot of people that don't talk about the call after it's over.
They don't want to.
Yeah, you just get back in the truck and they're like, what do you want for lunch? And I'm like, did you not just see what happened
We
to us?
have
Like,
so
yeah,
much
I
to
did,
debrief
but-
right now. What do you mean?
And they
It's
don't
like
want
a
to.
run-of-the-mill fall.
Yes. And they're like, they fell down, we picked them up. I'm like, no, did you see all of the porcelain dolls on every single shelf? What was that about?
What is that
Yeah.
about?
And they didn't even notice them. And I'm like, listen here, you're really draining my fun
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
out of this
Mhm.
job.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge factor for me.
I mean, I just wrote an article recently about the in-between. That is where EMS culture is created, in the in-between. What happens in the down moments. And, like, for me and Ashley, like, we love to romanticize the shit out of our job, okay? We will make every moment the most beautiful thing you've ever experienced in your life because we want to, okay? There's people who will literally poo-poo on us for that, and they think we're stupid and immature, but I'm like, we made chalk snow angels on the ground, like,
Yes, you did.
and I don't even know, we went to the park and fed the geese one time, okay? There are people that I would never do that with at work because they would be annoyed as shit with me,
Yes,
okay? They'd be like, get
this.
this girl away from me, this little baby, what is going on? But that's why we had so much fun.
Yeah.
And, like, why all the shitty calls were okay. We did get in a little slump there where all we were doing was we were getting our booties handed to us, but you know what? At least we had each other.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And that is what it's all about.
And some geese to feed
Yeah.
and some Hobby Lobby to go to.
Yep.
But we were very compatible.
Yeah. And
There is not a lot of people that would be compatible with
No. No.
that.
And
That's
it
okay.
makes such a huge difference, though. Like, when somebody is, when they just understand how your brain works and all the things, like,
Yeah.
it makes a huge difference. And you
Yeah.
actually enjoy each other's company. And, like, even when Austin and I were partners, and when you and Austin were partners,
Oh, yeah,
like,
it was great.
yes, like, we all like different things and do different things, but it just, Austin's really the common thread here. He can just really go with the flow for whatever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, you just form this bond and you understand each other and you like to talk about calls and go and do things, and like, it just makes such a big difference than just getting back in the truck and nodding at each other and going to the station and sitting in a recliner.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I will say, Austin, if you're listening to this is in love. We would go, but we would be like coming back from a call and I'd be driving and he would have just like, it was when I was an EMT, and like he would have just had his like ass handed to him, and he likes to just like scroll on the Facebook after that.
Yeah.
And I would be like talking and I'd be like, are you listening to me? And he'd be like, what? And I'd be like, man,
Oh.
he's not listening
It's
to
his
me.
decompression.
But yeah, it's his
Yeah.
decompression time.
Mhm.
So that is the thing, like, be compatible and understanding, but when you know someone that well and you're like, it's good most of the time, and
Yes. And
when-
maybe you need
yeah,
some
and
scrolly
you just need to
decompression
know how
time.
they decompress. You need to know how
Mhm.
they react to things. I would say that you get to know your EMS partner in some ways more than your significant other.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
You just, there's just
Mhm.
nothing, like, what, we're just doing weird shit all day.
I think EMS partnerships, like you said, you have the ability to be like way more intimate than even maybe like your romantic partners, because what other job or even
Yeah.
what other position do you ever find yourself in the real world where you can see that person at their absolute best, at their absolute worst, when they're the most terrified, when they're the most scared, when they're the most sad, where they're the most happy, where
you
they've
both
literally
almost died.
yes, where you've been in
You know.
insane danger, where you have literally just saved a life together.
Yeah.
Like, you get to see them at their extreme emotions in
Yeah.
like the most organic way,
And I
Mhm.
think
and it
that
beautiful.
is a big reason when people talk about why EMS and like relationships, like why people in first responder roles are like either like serially in bad relationships or just like stay in bad relationships or feel like they are unsatisfied in their relationship,
Mhm.
especially when it's someone who's not in this field, It's because this is just my personal view of it, okay? This is anecdotal. I have no clinical or psychological
There's no
evidence
data
for this.
you.
But, like, how lopsided would it be to be able to, like, have the most real emotions and, like, be the scaredest you've ever been and the happiest and the most excited and, like, all of that with somebody that is your friend or your coworker or your partner, and then like you just there's just nothing that compares to that with your actual partner, like
For sure.
romantically,
To
like
experience those emotional
such highs and such lows.
Yes, how large that emotional spectrum is, and to experience all of that together, and like huge life defining moments. Like the coolest thing that I will ever do at work will probably be right next to Aubrey.
Yeah.
Like that is so cool. And so
That's-
you get to like learn each other in a way that you don't get to learn other people.
Absolutely.
And I think that that's why EMS in and of itself is so valuable, because like my coworkers, like even if like other trucks show up to like help us on a scene or whatever, if we are like knee deep in a disaster of a scene with multiple critical patients and we're just like really filing through people trying to figure it out, and like Medic 1 shows up with Peggy and Jenny, like they get to see a look on my face of such relief
like,
when I see them.
Thank God you're here. Yeah.
Yes, that like that is that experience between each of you when you make eye contact with them and my face changes to like thank God.
Well, that's why we can just communicate with our eyes.
Yes, but that shows so much trust.
Yeah.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You and like me and that other like coworker have just built such a level of trust together just from that one look.
Yeah.
And I think when people are like people outside of this job that don't necessarily understand that closeness, it's because it happens in all those little moments.
Well, and there's a certain level of like codependency, and not even in a bad way. Like you just need that person. Like we have to be in this together to make it through the mission, right?
Yeah.
Like we have
literally,
to. There's no choice.
To each other.
Yeah,
Right.
somebody has to stay back here and somebody has to drive, or we
There's-
literally cannot go anywhere.
Yes. And the amount of times
Exactly.
on scene that I've been like, have you seen my partner? She's dressed like me.
She looks just like me.
Yeah.
She's like, people do confuse
Smaller
us.
muscles. Is that what you say? Be honest.
Yeah, I
Stop.
said me but tiny.
Oh my God.
Do you say that?
No.
Oh. Me, but has 10-foot long hair.
No, I just say
Brunette
I say
Rapunzel.
she's dressed like me. We're wearing the same outfit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that time when I asked a firefighter to go get my work wife and they came back with Carl?
Yep.
But
But
that
honestly, that's adorable.
That's great. And that actually, I was going to bring up this point a minute ago. I think one of the most disruptive things to ever happen to the culture where we all work together was was us getting another shift being off kilter. So a lot of changes happened in our county all at once. So county fire went to a different schedule, county EMS went to a different schedule, and city fire stayed on their same schedule. So we weren't working with the same crews. And I know we've talked about this so many times. It's like we got so like we had just this safety with the people that we worked with on the fire department that was
such a
just
flow together.
Yes,
Mhm.
and it really,
Yeah.
I really do think, I don't know that it changed it for the worse or for the better. I just think it was a huge change that happened that like
Yeah.
really.
Yeah, and I don't know that it necessarily like affected patient care. Like
I don't think it
patient
did.
outcomes.
I just
But
think
it-
our comfort.
Yes, it
Yeah.
affected my experience
Yeah.
for sure. Because it used to be like, we know who was on what truck, what zone they worked in, who was going to show up, and they knew us.
Well, I think that expectation is important, right? I know who's going to be there for the most part when I come to work.
Yeah.
There's not a lot we can rely on for consistency, but that was one of them.
And you can just build such a relationship and so much trust between like all the
Oh,
crews
yeah.
that we just knew. I would get that same feeling of relief when fire crews would show up because they were like our guys.
Yeah.
And we all knew
Yes.
each other. And we
It makes
knew
me
how
sad,
we
kind of.
operated. Yeah, and now a crew shows up and I don't know what shift they're on. I don't
Yeah,
know who
we
it's
don't
going to
know.
be. Yeah, it does make it so much harder because we talk about how there's such like a vast difference in how people practice medicine in EMS. And some people like to just load and like take off, and some people like to stay and play a little longer. Some people want the fire departments to do every single intervention. Some people want to do all their own interventions. Like, it's just so different. And so from their perspective, if they don't know what crew is coming, they don't know what is going to be expected
Or
of them.
what they should prepare.
Yeah, like, are they going to do so many things that one crew would like praise them for, but the next crew is going to be like, why would you do all of that?
And I think,
Like, that's tough for them
on
too.
their end and our end,
Yeah.
it gave everybody a little bit of just unsettled
Yeah.
feelings.
And coming from like having such a strong relationship with
it
other
was
first responders.
it was amazing.
Yeah,
I
it
have
hurt a little
daydreams
bit.
about it.
It did. It hurt a little bit when
Yeah.
we shifted.
I mean, it's just a testament though to like what we go through. It does something cognitively, emotionally, physically, even. So
our next talking point that we kind of want to go to is when we're talking about cognitive versus emotional conflict. So every crew, every partnership, every friendship, coworker relationship, there's going to be conflict to some degree. But conflicts can happen in two different realms. So one can be cognitive, which is like task conflict. And so you're disagreeing about treatment decisions, ways that you can improve performance, like tiny little things like you did this instead of this. And that is all task conflict, which is cognitive. But then you can also have relationship conflict. And that's going to be an emotional conflict. It's affective. And so those are personality clashes. Those are when the little ticking sound that they make when they're thinking irritates the absolute hell out of you.
and when you pair people who don't have personality clashes, it usually takes care of the first conflict.
Yes. And so because personality clashes, any kind of relationship or affect conflict that you have, those decrease trust and they increase stress. So if you can't get along with each other and you can't figure out how to like interact on the same page, it's going to make those task disagreements way more prevalent.
Yeah. And you
And,
can just understand, even if you disagree, right? You understand usually what that person's intentions are because
Yeah.
you mesh better and you know that, after this, we disagreed, but we can go talk about it and it's going to be
For sure.
okay.
For sure. Like Obs and I have worked together for so long that like if we get frustrated with each other on scene or she does something that I don't necessarily agree with, we just have a conversation about it afterwards.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And it doesn't feel scary when like, I know I can read this person. I know that our personalities and our friendship and all those things are going to come above whatever the disagreement is. I think a trust is I think I'm going to look this up because this is the thing.
And if you guys are finding yourself in these situations and you would like to learn more about communication, Jamie did an episode a while back, actually episode number 14, and it's called The Art of Communication, and you should give it a listen.
I can make a quiz for that, Jamie.
Ooh, cool.
Do you
Oh,
wanna do
go to
that?
our website and take the quiz and see if you need to go listen to the episode.
You know what we should do? We should do an EMS personality type quiz.
Oh my
Ooh,
gosh, yes.
yeah.
Say it.
Okay. And then also while you're at our website taking the quiz to see if you should go listen to that episode, also take this quiz. We're going to post a EMS personality quiz on our website.
Like, are you the hoverer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Or
basically going to be
Are you the sit back and tippy type?
It's like the
Ooh.
kind of
Mm-hmm.
quiz you would take in like 17 magazine.
yeah.
Absolutely. That's like, what type of Libra am I? or
Exactly.
whatever.
I'm imagining like
Or
an
whatever.
Enneagram but EMS version.
Yeah.
You know,
I
I'll
like
be a
it.
7
We're
wing
starting
1.
something. Did you know the woman and daughter duo that created that like personality type quiz? They're just random people.
Just random people?
Yeah, they like don't have.
Oh my God, are we talking about
They're
the
not like
ones-
psychiatrists or something.
These hoes. Were we talking about the ones on like BuzzFeed that were like?
INFJ or whatever. That
Oh,
one.
it was that one. It was like the real one.
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, okay. Then we're doing it.
Oh, we're definitely doing it.
It's a thing.
We're definitely doing it. So when we talk about task conflict and relationship conflict, it's based off of a study that was a meta-analysis on team conflict and performance that was posted in the Journal of Applied Psychology. So there's lots of science behind affective and cognitive communication, conflict, and how each affect the other and how you manage them.
And when it comes to like good leadership, I think it's really important. Like we have a problem in EMS. Either like we'll put somebody like, oh, they're really clinically strong, so we'll put our new hire with them. So you don't always have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
They could be really clinically strong, but they also need to be compatible personality-wise.
Yeah.
Like you should always have a wide variety of FTO personalities,
for
but
sure.
like just know like even if they're not the most clinically strong one, they might be the most compassionate, and this person needs somebody who's really like soft and squishy, and that's okay, because I guarantee you if they're both soft and squishy, they're gonna find this person the help they need. Like if they have a clinical deficit, we're gonna figure it out
Yes.
because I love you.
I think
Okay,
it
you know
was
it's gonna
like-
be like that.
Yes.
Go
Right.
get you fixed
I
up.
love you.
Yeah.
I think it was like a year ago or so, or maybe it's been further back now, but there was a new hire, and I think like I was the only FTO that like didn't have one at the moment or was free or whatever, and we met one time, myself and this new hire. And very clearly we're not going to get along. It was just
I mean,
like
that's fine,
yes,
right?
our just like
Good.
general personalities.
Thank you. Next.
Yes, we're just like we are both too abrasive.
Yeah.
This will not go well. It does not mean
They
that
need a squishy person.
yes, they were a good human, and I feel like I'm a good human, but we were not getting along.
Yeah.
And I told our leader, I was like, "Yo, please put them with somebody else because we're gonna fight just because of who we are as people, not because of anything they do clinically. So they need to go somewhere else."
And that's, I mean,
and
that's
they did.
good
They
as
listened,
a
but yeah,
right. FTOs definitely are a formal leadership position, and in a leadership position, you need to be able to say that, right? Like, I am not going to be the best fit to train you, and that is
Yeah.
perfectly appropriate.
We're both gonna leave this crabby and maybe like bleeding. We gotta
Yeah,
We
this
gotta
is not
figure
going to be.
something out.
And as an FTO, that's a way to advocate for yourself as well, right? You don't need to be exhausted. There's a chance, good chance, you're not getting paid very much, if anything, extra to do
Yeah.
this. So don't tax yourself to the point of like having to change your whole personality just to FTO someone.
right, just so that we can both survive it.
Right.
Make it through. I think all of that ties super well into our next point, which I'm just going to read this because I think it's funny. Because you tell me what you think of when I read this.
All right.
Humans perceive intrapersonal disagreement as potential social threat. This activates a sympathetic nervous system response, which will lead to reduced listening and poorer decision making.
Facts.
Now,
Mhm.
what type of human comes to mind when you read that?
The very defensive person.
Yeah,
That's
a
like,
paragod.
Yes.
And, those are prevalent here in this here work field.
Which is why we have a phrase called, or a name for them, which is paragod.
Correct. Yeah,
Facts.
they have a whole subgroup. Which doesn't mean that these people are necessarily bad people. It doesn't always mean that these are bad providers, but it means that if you put two paragods together,
Ooh.
it will not go well.
it's
you
not
know?
going to. No, and
Mm-mm.
honestly, the clinical point, I feel like let's just hit home with that one because if you are on defense all the time, even if you're not a paragod and you work with somebody who like questions literally everything you do, you are going to make more mistakes because you're just
Mhm.
paranoid all the time that you're going to
Yes.
make the wrong choice.
Constantly
Yeah.
defending yourself.
Your confidence is going to be down, down, down.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
and on a partner and communication aspect, if you are the one that is constantly defensive, take a step back and like look at yourself and ask yourself like, why are you always defending everything? Like, can you take a breath and listen to what this person's saying
Yeah.
and recognize that I had to do lots of work on myself in this regard. I was quite a defensive human, and still am sometimes.
Most people generally, especially when it comes to our practice of medicine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Something that you perceive yourself as good at,
Yeah.
you will defend more aggressively. But if you take a step back and you realize that a lot of times the criticism or conversation that someone's trying to have with you is not about you as a person. It is not an
No.
attack to your character or your integrity. It is truly just a conversation about something that you did. And so once you realize that those two things are not synonymous, like someone correcting an action that you took or having some criticism of an action that you took is not the same thing
Right.
as them telling you you're a shit person.
Well, you're a human, so you're going
Yes.
to do human things, which includes mistakes.
Yeah, that helps so much. And if you're in a partnership with somebody that is always defensive, that if you're like, well, I can't talk to them about anything because they're so defensive.
That is exhausting also for your
Yes,
partner.
that
okay?
is a good thing to know about them.
Yeah.
And you can approach things differently.
Just be more gentle.
Yes, be more gentle. Approach things as questions and less of like, you did this, it's a problem, whatever. If that's how you're doing it, approach it as a question. Like, hey, I don't know a lot about this. Can you teach me something? And
Yeah.
maybe you guys together can come to the conclusion that that wasn't the best option for that patient. I think that a lot
Or
of
you
times,
can just say we disagree.
I think a
that's
lot of
okay
times
too.
when you're trying to reduce conflict, understanding how the other person takes information and perceives the things you say is really important. And so if you're the partner that is like so burnt out that you really can't handle this, that's totally fine. I
Yeah.
get that. But if you're trying to fix a relationship with someone that is super defensive, a lot of times taking a softer, less
Accusatory.
Be more
Yes.
inquisitive instead of
accusatory.
yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes it doesn't really matter what your intention is if that's how they're perceiving it. And so you've got to kind of take a step back and see if there's ways you can change your communication to help them be less defensive. And sometimes they gotta do that work on their own, and
yeah,
you need
you
a
can't
new
fix
partner.
everybody. Yeah, you cannot fix everybody, and that's okay. But speaking of like this defensiveness or collaborative nature of people, everyone's different. But I want to talk really quickly about the SCARF model. So the SCARF model is one of the most practical ways to understand why people in teams either show up calm, focused, collaborative, or defensive, maybe shut down even. And it was developed by David Rock, and it's just grounded in social neuroscience, specifically how our brain interprets workplace interactions, either as a threat or a reward. So SCARF stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, fairness, and we'll go through each one. So it's up to you. So status is your relative importance compared to others. So a threat would be being corrected publicly or talked down to. A reward would be recognition, respect, being asked for input. So in EMS talk, right, that would be like calling someone out on scene instead of just giving like constructive feedback or like kind intervention there. And then you're probably going to get a defensive response to that. C is for certainty, so your ability to predict what's going to happen next. A threat would be unclear expectations or chaotic leadership. This is so problematic in EMS, and we talk about this so much on the show. There's so much uncertainty in this job. If there's one thing that could be certain, we want it to be our team and our leadership. So a reward would look like clear plans and consistent structure. Instead of just figure it out type leadership, it would be more like, this is who we are, this is our goal, this is our purpose kind of thing.
I think that certainty is such a good, I like that explanation so much, because I think that's kind of why when we switched shifts with the fire departments, it stressed me out so much, because I had so much certainty. I knew exactly what to expect 100%. And what they were going to do, and now I have no idea what it's going to look like when we get there.
Yeah.
And it makes me so stressed at baseline.
I totally agree with that. That's why it messed me up too. The next one is autonomy, which of course we also talk about a lot on the show, which is your sense of control over decision making, right? A threat would be being micromanaged or being overridden no matter what, and a reward might look like being trusted in a decision making space or supported, or redirected if needed. And so an EMS translation, really just taking over without any explanation. Sometimes maybe you've experienced this with a supervisor, or maybe you're working with someone at the same license level as you. That can happen a lot. Instead of that like guided support or like adjunctive support that really needs to be in place. Relatedness, so your sense of safety with others, so your friends, your coworkers. A threat would look like cliques or cold behavior or lack of trust. I think micromanagement also can fit into this as well. And then reward would look like psychological safety, connection, trust. So if your partner feels like a stranger, your performance is probably going to drop because that's essentially a threat. And then if they feel like your teammate or your friend, you guys are going to be stronger together. And then finally, fairness. So your perception of equity and justice, which can change based on person to person, but generally a threat is going to look like favoritism or inconsistent standards, which is just rampant in our field, and that it can be so frustrating for all of us. And then reward is just transparency or equal expectations, right? If we both commit the same crime, we both receive the same kind of intervention.
I think that people forget a lot, especially like leadership with transparency, is that a lot of times people...
I think people in even in relationships in general, like in life...
A lot of times leadership is not transparent because they're like, oh, well, like the whole crew, the whole staff can't know this one thing. I'm like, why?
Also, they're going to make something up worse.
Yes.
Always.
The narrative.
Yes.
They already have, in fact.
Oh my gosh. Like we have a
Guarantee
station that's a super like outlying station that basically gets all of the drama last.
Like
and
5 years later.
The stories that they come up with out there about like what people are doing is insane.
Oh
And I
yeah,
promise
it's
you,
hilarious.
it is way worse than
What's
actually happened.
happening? Oh yeah, every time.
So just tell your crews why you can do something, why you can't do something. What are your budget constraints?
Yeah.
Like, just be honest with them instead of like, we'll look into it. Be like, oh yeah, we have no money.
Yeah, and
Sorry, we can't do that.
you're like, oh yeah, we knew that.
Yeah.
Why weren't you telling us?
Yeah. So like,
it feels sketchy.
just tell them the truth, and I promise you, like, there will not be a mutiny for them to use
No.
it against you, because if you're honest with them.
Yeah, because now they already know.
Yeah, it helps so much. Or I've seen more recently people have gotten better at it where they're like, hey, I'm actually really overwhelmed with the amount of workload that I have right now, so we can discuss that in a month when I'm less swamped.
And that's so reasonable.
And that is very
You're
reasonable.
like, oh, okay.
But just tell people the
Yeah.
truth, because the other alternative is that you blow them off and they don't know the reason why, and then they don't bring things to you anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what happens a lot in EMS.
And that's the downfall of everything, is just
Mhm.
inability to trust.
So when you're talking about teamwork, working together, think about a team situation that you've been on where you had like a poor relationship, where there was dysfunction in that team, whether it's just you and your partner or a larger team. How much more stressed were you? Like, how much more mental workload did you feel like you had?
Oh, exponential.
And
Right.
there's almost some like resentment.
Yes, because you're both second guessing each other. You're both checking what the other person's already
Like,
done.
Jesus.
Mhm.
And you're essentially, this is why I used to always say that I hated group projects when I was in high school, because I always ended up being the person that just did them all. Because if you don't take control of it and make sure it's done right, and that's what a lot of our personalities are. And so when you have poor teamwork, it increases your mental workload.
I mean, how many times have we, like, we've gotten off of a shift, either it's like we picked up overtime or somebody got moved and we worked with a different person, and you come off shift and you're like, I am exhausted. You're like, oh my gosh, what'd y'all do last night? And you're like, absolutely nothing. But it just wore me out.
Yes.
Like, that is very much a real thing.
Yeah, because when you have a good, solid partnership, you split the cognitive load.
Yeah.
And you both know what your roles are, and you both know what you're doing, and you trust them to actually fulfill that role.
Yeah.
And when you have a strained partnership or a dysfunctional partnership, or maybe one partner just runs around in circles like their head's cut off, then
If you have a chaotic partner and you're not a chaotic person.
it's exhausting. It is
Yeah.
exhausting. But you end up carrying all of the cognitive load
Yeah.
in your brain. So increased workload, which is what increased cognitive load correlates with, also can cause delayed decision-making, communication breakdowns, and higher error potential, which makes sense. The more things you have on your mind, the more likely you are to let things slip through.
Which, I mean, in our field, there's probably a trillion things on your mind.
Absolutely. Multitasking is like basically a non-negotiable for our field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be able to do multiple things at once.
Have you ever heard of the term safety at the sharp end?
Mm-mm.
So safety at the sharp end refers to the idea that frontline providers are where harm becomes visible, but not where it originates. So at the sharp end, the point of care, that's like clinicians, EMS providers, even like pilots, things like that. The blunt end is leadership, policy, training, resources, all that stuff. So the concept comes from human factors and safety science. So especially relates to the work of James Reason, and then Sydney Decker is someone who like goes on to like really capitalize on this idea, which we can put in the show notes there, some of their resources. But the core principle is just that errors are not created at the sharp end; they are inherited there. So it like trickles
It's
down
where
essentially.
you see them, but not where they originate.
Yeah.
Right. So frontline providers are the final common pathway, so they often get blamed. So I think this is especially important because I'm swear to you, like I get so exhausted on the internet sometimes because people always are like, it's up to the field crews. It starts on the truck. Culture starts on the truck. It can't,
Mm-hmm.
because policy and holding the line and all that matters. And you can't just do it as one person,
Mhm.
right? Like you have to do it in the leadership. Like
Mm-hmm.
obviously your attitude matters and how you show up matters, but like we are the final straw, right?
And if we weren't, if it didn't matter what leadership did and what kind of culture they built and what kind of, if it truly was that the culture originates on the trucks, then leadership would be unimportant.
Yeah, get out of here.
But why are there so many things about how important leadership is? Like, who's leading you actually is a huge deal. And we know that.
And
but then when
how?
it comes to culture, we want to say, like, it originates on the trucks. But think about every culturally progressive service that we've looked at. It all came from policy and leadership.
Yeah, Swiss cheese model.
Absolutely. So it just, it seems so silly to me that we think, like, oh, well, if y'all were just happier, y'all
Yeah.
just weren't so crabby, then we would have a better service. And I'm like, you know why people get crabby out of service?
Yeah,
It's because they're
they're
overworked,
exhausted.
they're underpaid, they have bad protocols, they have bad equipment, they have leadership that doesn't listen. Like, that's why people get frustrated.
Yeah.
And that's why your culture starts to fail. You have to fix, like, the very basics of your service to
You
be
have
able
to start
address
there.
your culture. And then you continue to move that policy in that positive direction. But you can't just look at the crews and be like,
It's all your fault.
yeah, you want some pizza? Be happy.
The pizza party.
Pizza party.
I
We
think-
don't even get pizza parties. I've had like one
No,
pizza
yeah,
party in my
throw me
entire
a-
career.
Listen,
What are you talking
honestly,
about?
I probably would be fine with it if you
Yeah.
did throw me a pizza party.
Yeah,
They're like, it's a myth. Anyway,
it's a
moving on.
myth. Yeah.
I think that concept is the same as being like, well, we can only have good equipment on the trucks if the crews get it.
Yeah,
Like,
that
no, that's
doesn't-
what you're there for. You are there to
Right.
provide good resources for us, and it is up to us to be able to use them accordingly. Like, we continue that, but that's not our job to go fetch it. That's your
Yes.
job.
Yeah.
You have to lay that foundation for us to be able to use those resources.
Absolutely.
So, just a silly concept if you paint
It
it in
is.
just a slightly different light.
And that
Absolutely.
happens. I mean, that it happens. Anything that has to do with mental health, that's how it happens. It is
Yeah.
like there's a whole scientific field based around your literal brain and what it does to you. But then if you're like, have any mental health issues, or we talk about
Your fault.
like anything that's cognition related, then it is like, well, manage it yourself.
Yeah, go figure it out. What are you doing?
But
Mind
that's-
your business,
Yes,
right?
but that is not how we address anything else in this field. We address everything else as like a systemic responsibility.
Yes, the whole purpose of leadership, especially in this field, is risk mitigation. And anything that you decide as could be a threat to your system is a risk, right?
Mhm.
So like culture is one of those things,
Yeah.
or like mental health. It's this quote unquote soft topics as well. So like please stop saying it's up to the truck crews. That is a cop out.
Yeah, 'cause you'll have some bad apples on the truck. You'll have some people that are really resistant to change, that are super crabby and just want to stay pissed off.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but you'll have a majority of your crews that will embrace it and will embrace the theory of like actual resilience and like want to
Truly.
move forward. But I find a lot of times in EMS, like, we are the quintessential example of squeaky wheel gets the grease. And
Mhm.
so, like, we think that there's a handful of bad clinicians. Well, we can't give the service good protocols. Nobody gets them because they'll mess it up. We have a handful of grumpy medics. Oh, well, the whole culture here sucks because these 4 people are pissed off all the time.
Yeah, people are gonna always suck.
Yeah,
It's just the
and
reality.
I think that, like, we do that a lot in EMS. But if you take a step back and you really look at, like, your providers as a whole, most people want to do well. They want to be happy. They want to enjoy their job.
Yeah,
And so give them an environment where they can do that in. And that starts in an office, not in the
absolutely.
truck. Yeah.
And how defeating is it when you say, "Well, it's up to you," without any resource or anything?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what the hell?
Right,
What do you
just,
mean?
You just find, like, the angriest medic that works at your service and be like, do
Yeah.
you want to be friends?
It's like showing up to a call and getting your
Hey there,
patient in,
buddy.
and you put your patient in the truck and you say, "Well, you got everything. We got good equipment. It's up to you now,
Exactly.
buddy.
Got everything you need
I
in
brought
there.
it to you.
Let me
It's
know
up
when
to
you want to
you,
start heading
homie.
to the hospital.
Good luck. I mean, I brought it to you. What do you want?" Like, God.
That would be so silly.
I mean, that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
Oh, those are some of my... Haley does this a lot. Those are some of my favorite things, is, like, if I'm having a hard time understanding something in my brain,
I excessively make
yes,
examples.
she will give me, like, absurd examples, absurd ones. And I'm like, oh. Well,
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Now it makes sense.
And it makes the other thing sound ridiculous.
Yes.
What do you mean?
I'm like, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so to close things out, we just are going to ask some questions, maybe discuss a few of them, and feel free to comment, your feelings, opinions, and ideas. We love it. First things first, have you ever had a partner who increased your stress level?
Yeah, I
Bruh.
work with her every day.
Oh my
Shut
gosh.
up.
I'm just kidding. But
I'm
on
an angel.
a real note, yes.
Yeah, and how did that affect your patient care?
Bruh, it made me a disaster.
It made me very, very tired at the end of the
It
day.
makes you
Mhm.
less attentive, I think, at least on the
Oh, yeah.
I also,
emotional side of things.
especially when I was new and like so much younger and didn't know as much as I do now or have as much experience as I have now, it made me question myself like constantly.
Yeah.
Because they were
reduces confidence.
so chaotic. I thought that I just wasn't reading like signals right.
Yeah. Is it that bad?
Yes, but it turns out that was not the case. But it was so stressful thinking that I was not competent.
Oh yeah. That is a great point, and that's why there's this perception sometimes, and especially from lay people, where like they think that you need to be running and freaking out
Mm-hmm.
for that to mean that you're taking their emergency seriously.
Absolutely.
That is
So not
simply
true.
not the case. That will reduce your cognitive capacity and your ability to think clearly and increase risk factors such as mistakes.
If you see a provider running, shouting, being chaotic, I promise you they have no idea what they're doing.
If they're stressing you out,
Yes.
it's because they're stressed.
Yes, that does not mean that they're taking your family member's emergency seriously. It means that they're panicking.
Yeah, and for the record, do you know how many times I was like, I'm going to throw up, die, and shit myself right now, but then I was just doing what needed to be done in a calm way?
Yep.
Yeah.
Many a time.
100%.
Many a time.
Yep.
What behaviors build trust fastest? I think
Ooh.
ability to admit mistake.
Yeah.
And I think that's bottom line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree.
Cool, I'm glad we all agree.
Yeah, and be able to have like a conversation about it.
Yeah.
100%. The conversations that Obs and I have had in the truck where we were at odds and I think had like an actual disagreement, it was because neither one of us approached that conversation admitting our own shortcomings.
Yeah.
We approached it as in like, hey, you did this and I'm frustrated.
There's
And
rarely
they-
ever one failure.
Yeah.
Yes. And then the other person will be like, well, you did this and I was frustrated. And
Okay.
when we finally land that plane and we ended up in a good place, it's because I was like, you know what, actually I can see how me doing that would make you feel
Yeah.
a certain way. And then she would do the same thing back. So like, yes, admit your mistakes early, often, have an honest conversation about it, set your ego down. It
Yeah.
will build trust so fast.
Even if it only goes as far as, well, that didn't feel good, that call did not feel good.
Yeah.
We
We
can
do that all
start
the time.
there. And
Or I'll
that's
be
okay.
like, I'm so sorry that I can't hit the broadside of a barn with an IV needle today.
And sometimes that be happening.
Because how many times have you been working with somebody and you go on a call and it just goes not well? I mean, like nothing bad happens, but you're like, that was
Everything was just,
unsmooth.
yes, everything
Yeah.
was hard for no reason.
Two left
Yes.
feet.
Yes, and
Uh,
you get in the truck and then they just act like
Nothing
run of the mill
happened.
call, and you're like, do they know how not great that was?
Don't
And it might
they?
even be your call. I mean, you might be the one that made it not great, but
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Should agencies control partner assignments more?
I think that they should assess partner assignments when there's repeated issues, whether it's clinical care or just like they're wreaking havoc on their station or something.
Yes, I agree.
Right.
Because my answer is like no.
Yeah.
I think you should let people choose their own partner. I think we have discussed throughout this entire episode how important compatibility is. Just so honestly, most agencies are not responsible enough to do like full-on personality assessments
be
of
insane,
each person they pair
actually.
together.
But you can take our personality assessment.
Yes, you can. So I think that it's more responsible to let people choose who they want to work with. And then, like Soph said, assess that down the road.
Yeah.
If they are not compatible clinically, or if you're seeing issues out of them, or if they're just like
Yeah, if they're
generally just
yeah.
jacking off all the time.
they're
like,
just always
you know.
pissing off the hospital and the firefighters.
Yes.
It might just be because they are just having problems with each other.
Yeah. And so, like, you definitely need to pay attention to it, but I do not think that agencies should control partner assignments.
yeah,
Yeah, I think
agree.
you should have autonomy in
Mhm.
that space unless there is something catastrophic failing.
Mm-hmm.
Or one of them comes to you and it's like, please get me out of this partnership.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that there should be the ability of the agency to
Get a divorce.
rearrange, but yeah, get a divorce, but they should not be having
Oh, yeah.
oh, what's the old term for like marriages? Not assigned marriages.
Arrange?
Arranged.
They should not be arranging marriages.
Yeah, because it really is. Like,
it's about love.
it
okay?
is about love
It's
and
about
connection.
love. It's about love.
Not about
Yeah, I think they should definitely hold like veto power to be
Oh,
like,
yeah.
listen, y'all two rascals, I know you love each other, but you're both actually a disaster. So you cannot be partners because it will burn this whole city down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
You
like,
could be having a blast, but
yes, they need to be able to have veto power, but an actual like you get no say in who you work with. No.
no,
Yeah, I don't
if
love
you're
that.
doing that at your agency, it is impacting your crews and your
For
culture.
sure.
yeah.
They're straight up not having a good time. And I feel like that is probably a place in which favoritism is showed a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's
Because
where you
certain
should
people
say
are probably able to
treat everybody the
request
same.
specific partners, and like new people or people that the administration doesn't necessarily like
Yeah.
probably get stuck with whoever is left.
And
so like that, stop doing that.
it's
Yep.
chaotic, but we do a shift bid and a station bid.
Y'all,
It's
it is so fun.
it is and
It's
it,
wild.
and like there is a little bit of drama like sometimes, but like
But in the most fun way.
but generally I
Mhm.
think it is the most productive and fair way
Yeah.
Yeah.
to.
It is. It's all seniority based, and we all get together and you go name by name and station by station, and like
Put your name on the board.
It's
Yeah.
kind of fun when like unexpected marriages happen.
Yeah.
yes,
You're just like
What?
they're together.
They're breaking
Absolutely.
up?
Oh my
All of
God.
our best
We're getting the band
partnerships-
back together.
all of our best partnerships happen that way.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up with Austin. It's how you ended up with Austin. It's how Aubrey and I ended up together.
Yep.
Now I also
That's how me and Ashley ended up together.
have been in
Just
some
kind
less
of-
than successful marriages.
Well.
Also that way.
Yeah.
Me too.
True. But
Me too.
you were able to redirect.
Oh yeah. Oh,
So.
yeah.
Okay, the last discussion, and I like this one,
Me too.
is conflict training missing in EMS
Yes.
education? Yes, we have already talked
Yes.
about that.
Yes, yes, yes.
It is for sure missing.
Yeah, what the heck, guys? Why are you just throwing us to the wolves?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know why.
This
that
is
such a
probably your
thing.
most valuable skill in this field.
Absolutely, because this goes from clinical to personal. Like no other career is like, hey, you are now attached to the hip of this person. You
Yeah.
must go literally everywhere with them. You will be doing it for 24 hours or at least 12. And we're not going to teach you. You're 19. Good
yeah,
luck.
figure it out.
Figure
is
it
the
out.
Worst
Mhm.
part of the culture of this job is the figure it out mentality.
Mhm.
It's
like
dangerous,
I'm game
exhausting.
for like at some point, like you gotta just get in there and do it.
Yeah, you have to do it, but you have to do it
But
with
not-
someone next to you.
Yes, not without resources and
Right.
support and tools and because what if they figure it out wrong?
Which,
Which
believe
is
it
a
or
good
not, does
chance.
happen.
It happens a lot.
And yeah, nobody is.
Yeah.
You can't course correct until someone tells you you're on the wrong course, or your tires blow out.
Or you're going backwards.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, you're going down the wrong way on the highway.
Yeah.
This
Like, what is
this
happening?
How did we get here?
I
Yeah.
would love to do like a study, and there's absolutely no way to quantify this, so like we can't. But in a dream world, I would love to do a study that like shows the impact of your first EMS partner you ever had.
I think it makes or breaks it.
It makes or
Mhm.
breaks it, and I think we have seen that over and over again, and I think it's fascinating because
Yeah.
whoever you end up with first, like at your foundation of this career,
Yeah.
is really the traits that you keep.
It
And
really
I think
is.
it's so interesting.
Yeah,
Also,
it's like parents.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. Me and Jamie were talking at length the other day about how emotional intelligence is like the missing link in this career field.
Yeah,
And-
I agree. Sorry, wasn't trying to be like for real.
No, like, do agree for sure.
Yes.
But like in the instance of being able to emotionally control yourself when it comes to patients, when it comes to social interactions on scene, when it comes to dealing with your partner, when it comes to sharing a residence with a person or persons for 24 hours or greater.
Yeah.
And it is crazy that we are not taught any of that. I mean, even just like the basics of this is emotional intelligence.
Literally
it is
nothing.
a thing. You should probably
Yeah.
know about it.
Nothing.
Like, yeah, not a ding dang
Nothing.
thing. And that's crazy that they don't even talk about it at all in any EMS education. But if you are an educator, I would challenge you, maybe slip some of that in there because
Yeah, have someone come talk to your class.
yeah, imagine the impact that would have if people maybe could regulate themselves to the point of not going crazy when your regular calls for the 5th time that week, or not losing their mind when somebody starts yelling at them on scene, or dealing with family dynamics or their partner. And like the impact is insurmountable. And
It is, and it carries into every aspect of your life. It will
Yeah,
make
it
their
makes you-
home life healthier. It will make their work life healthier.
Makes your life easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Well-
And it is something that you cannot replace with anything else.
Yeah.
Like if you learn the tools of like emotional regulation and you learn the concepts of emotional intelligence, then they continue to build on themselves the more that you use them. But there is no other replacement for that.
I think every single EMS agency should have to have a licensed therapist or psychiatrist or some kind of, like a social worker even, on their staff. I think it should be literally required to have an assessment every single year.
Yeah, to be able to talk about, like, just the things that you deal with every day and you see every day. And they can say things like, hey, have you been having a problem, like, regulating your frustration?
Yeah.
Have you been yelling at people more often?
Yeah.
Do you feel yourself getting really frustrated during conversations that should not be inciting a fight or flight response in you? Like, that would be really useful, because some people don't even realize that's happening. And that's 100%. Kind of what I've realized in EMS, is that a lot of providers don't even know that they have a problem with self-regulation. They just think it's normal to throw the tough book at the windshield when they get another call that they didn't want.
I would literally cry if you did that in the ambulance.
My
I would actually cry.
It's inappropriate.
But it's so true.
But it's normalized behavior, and they're like, oh, sorry, I just got frustrated.
Okay, well, that's our last working
That
tough
is
book,
not
so you
a
better reel it in.
Yes. That response did not match the issue, right?
Yes.
It was out of proportion.
Absolutely.
Well, in this state that we work in, every 2 years we have to have a physician statement saying that we have the physical capacity to work.
Mm-hmm.
Why not add a
Mental
cognitive,
capacity.
like a mental
Absolutely.
psycho
Evaluation.
Why
Absolutely.
can we do that? And not even to the point of, like, it's punitive, but to the point it's like we can make sure people who need support are getting support.
Yeah.
Or even the simplest way is, like, it just becomes normal, right? It's normal that we check on each other's mental health. It's just that is the bottom line.
Yeah.
It's just normal.
That's standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it should be.
And I will say that within this past year, our state has passed, like our state EMS board has passed a requirement to teach a whole mental health curriculum in school now, which is awesome, because it's crazy that has not been happening. Yes.
It is alarming.
So that is a fantastic start, and that, I think, will open the door to
I do
a
too.
whole lot of other options and a whole lot of other resources in education, which is great.
Yeah.
So,
And I think it lends to a really good point with EMS, that we are the last choice. Like, we're the last of the line for almost every patient population issue.
Yeah.
Like, someone's being really, really combative and, like, too combative for PD, that's us.
Mm-hmm.
If someone is being, like, an absolute disaster on scene, they will call us. If there's someone they don't want to deal with, they will call us. And we don't have this training, but we are the last people that have to deal with it. Fire, like, if they have something happen on a fire scene that is a problem, like, who they call EMS. So, like,
Who do you
everybody
call?
calls, right?
Ghostbusters.
But, like, everybody calls us basically when they're like, well, now what do we do? Oh, we call EMS. And so, like, for us to actually have the training to back up handling a lot of those behavioral issues that people decided we're going to anyway, is very important.
and I think, like, 9 times out of 10, the EMS provider that shows up on those scenes does handle it very well, because we talk about this a lot, because this is like a crazy phenomenon in EMS to think about, but we are in these situations with no training, and so, like, you literally just have to use what you got, and what you have 10 out of 10 times is a soft tone and patience. And, like, you can see some people de-escalate the hell out of some situations, and you're like, whoa,
But I think that
crazy.
is why it's so hard, though, like, on our person.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
because we have to just use every ounce of, like, calm that's left in our bodies, sometimes after or at the end of a very long shift, or in the middle of the night, or 3 o'clock in the morning, and, like, then you're just so exhausted when it's all over, and then you don't take care of yourself because you just had to take care of everybody else's emergency.
Yes, like, I've had a shift where I've ran, like, 2 cardiac arrests and, like, 2 traumas that we went to our, like, local trauma 1 and, like, all the things. And I was not exhausted at the end of that shift as I am on the shifts where we have, like, multiple, like, just heavily involved and, like, tough psych patients.
Yeah.
Where, like, you really have to take the time to, like, invest and build trust and be calm, and, like, you've got to spend a lot of time. That is so much energy and so much mental energy, that to do that with no training.
No training and
buddy.
Mm-hmm.
just
And no backup plan.
no, like, you also don't have any other way to like protect yourself, so you could be in imminent danger.
For sure.
You don't have weapons, you don't have a
And-
taser.
Mhm.
Like
Right, and like we say this coming from a perspective of people that like we've gone out and like sought knowledge in all of these fields
Right.
and all these topics. Like we've educated ourselves pretty heavily
and
on.
we are pretty centrally located, or we get access,
Yeah,
right? We have
for
easy
sure.
access.
But like some providers, one, don't know that they need to educate themselves
Yeah.
on that. They don't know how to educate themselves on that. And so like, gosh, it would be so much harder in that aspect too. Like you got nothing.
yeah.
You're just like, hey there, buddy. Please don't hurt me. Do you
Please
want me
don't
to
kill
go to the
me.
hospital?
Please don't.
Tell me where it all went wrong,
Tell me
friend.
where it all went
Yeah.
wrong. Mm-hmm.
And yep, I think the
Anyway.
bottom line is take care of each other and set up better systems.
Yeah.
And go take our quiz on the website.
Yeah.
And go take the quiz.
If this episode brought you value, take a moment to rate and review the show. It helps more providers find us. Follow Life in Sirens, join our mailing list for exclusive content, and visit lifeinsirenspodcast.com for resources and downloadables built for the modern provider. And if this conversation made you think, send it to your partner, your preceptee, or someone on your crew, because better providers build better systems.
This has been Life in Sirens, produced by 3 nerds trying to bring you content that you might actually care about.